Hey guys, what's going on? Paul from hashtag. Welcome to the mobile version of the show. So I am out in Niagara Falls, running everything off my cell phone, and of course, as you can imagine, service out here is not phenomenal. But I scheduled the stream, so I said, what the hell? Let's just give it a shot. Let's see what happens. So welcome to the Bills and Jets preview. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So welcome to the show. Sorry. All right. First off, listen, I know what everybody's thinking, right? That the Jets are going to be a rollover team, right? And I understand why people think that, right? I do. I understand wholeheartedly why people think that. Uh, just to be fair and just to be honest about the process, I think the Jets are probably a little bit better than a lot of people think. Um, and not just because their record says that they are better than people think. Actually, they won more games this year than I thought they would. Uh, the fact of the matter is that defense is probably a little nastier than people are really planning it to be. As Bills fans, as you all know, right? Sometimes you look at stats and you look at things and you say, "All right, well, hold on, let's pump the brakes. Let's look at what their numbers say, and they're not good. It says plain as day is not they're not good. This is still a team that is CJ Mosley, who is very still at this point a dangerous weapon, and they generate a fair amount of turnovers. And if the last couple of weeks are anything, that remains to be a little bit of a concern for Buffalo, right? This is not a game where you can allow turnovers to happen just because you don't want to give a team that is figuring their way through any opportunity, right? You don't want to do that. So again, there we go. Welcome to the stream for all of you joining. So to talk about the Jets defense, to talk about the Bills offense, listen, the defense generates a fair amount of turnovers, and you got to get yourself ready for that because the Buffalo last couple games haven't been great as far as turnovers go. I know Josh tried to throw one away, got picked off great play in Green Bay. I know things can happen, but the offense can't afford to get it sloppy. And last week they were sloppy. Blocking up front wasn't phenomenal. The Jets are actually a team that gets run on kind of a lot. Even though they generate a pretty fair amount of turnovers in the air, they get run on an awful lot. And I don't know. I guess this is where I sit, right? The Jets game is a little bit scarier than I think it should be. And normally, you look at the Jets, are like, okay, sweet. Bill's got another bye week, and that is far from the case. Jordan Poyer is obviously, Poyer's likely out. The Bills have lost players in games like this all season. They haven't been healthy all season, so that's certainly a concern. And of course, you never want to talk about injuries creeping up, but this is a game where you just got to be careful. Buffalo should be in control of this game the whole time, but you still have to remain careful. I'm really excited about the deadline deals. Obviously, the adding Dean Marlowe in makes a lot of sense now that Poyer's going to be out. I think they were going to do that anyway. Dean actually said that regardless of Poyer's health, they were looking at the safety position, and they had actually leveled it down to 10 safeties they were interested in. So that was an interesting point. That at the trade deadline that they started making calls on about 10 different safeties. And Marlowe coming back makes a ton of sense. But I guess my main point here is that I don't want to see a sloppy effort like I saw last week, because this game will get away from you. I'm not saying the Jets are great. I don't think that at all. They're going to be minus Corey Davis, who is a really solid possession receiver. Outside of Corey Davis, they're just speed everywhere. I think the Bills run a base nickel, so they'll be able to keep up with the speed. I'm not really worried about that. Tyler Conklin had a great game last week. Caught for almost 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's their tight end. Didn't have the greatest relationship with Zach Wilson as far as production went. He and Joe Flacco seemed to get along real well. But as far as Wilson was concerned, his stats really weren't there. So he wasn't very well used. Last week that changed. So they do have weapons across the board, but it's really not going to be their offense that wins them this football game. And I guess that's kind of why I'm not really spending a lot of time talking about their offense. They obviously lost Brees Hall. So they bring in James Robinson, who I really like from Jacksonville. But this, again, is going to be the first look at him. They already have Michael Carter, who I wasn't super high on coming out of North Carolina as it was. Sort of a receiving back. Again, he's a fine player. I wouldn't say a great player. He's just a fine player. And it begs the question, what do you do if you're Buffalo? You got to keep possession of the ball. This is a team that you're going to be able to throw on, you're going to be able to run on them, but they generate a lot of turnovers in the air. So just be careful. And again, the game could get away from Buffalo pretty quickly if they are not. Ron says 27-17. Rick Rarick says 27-13. Paul finally got rid of Mario in the comment section. Listen, that's not the way this works, Freshly. Mario's got the kids. My son is at baseball practice, so on Friday nights, I got nothing to do but sit here in this parking lot in Niagara Falls, New York. So you guys are going to get the best of me. Brian says 31-13 Bills. Yeah, again, I don't expect the Jets to put up a ton of points. The Jets put up 13. I honestly would be a little surprised. Wilson is just straight making it up at the quarterback position. He's running for his life. Their offensive line is not great. They are going to have trouble containing a front four from that Bills pass rush. They are really going to struggle, like really struggle, drive the struggle bus to stop any sort of pressure package that Buffalo is going to put out there. The counter to that is they have undersized quick receivers. So while there's going to be a ton of pressure, it's going to depend on if Wilson's able to see that pressure early and then get it to those young playmakers, right? Because they're loaded as far as young playmakers on the offense. They've really believed that if you just keep investing picks in wide receivers, early picks and wide receivers, that it's eventually going to pay off. I don't really believe that to be true. That's never been my theory on how to build a football team, but it sure is a nice excuse. Daniel Gari says 34-9. See, that's what I'm talking about, Dan. You and I are on the same page. Dan says 27-13. The Jets are better, but they're banged up. Yeah, and Freshly did mention that Poyer is officially out. Totally true. And Freshly says 40-17. All those numbers sound great. I don't think this is a game where Buffalo needs to score 40 points. Now, there's been games where Buffalo hasn't needed to score 40 points. It hasn't stopped them. But I think as you get later and later into the season, you need to be a little bit more judicious with your playing time, right? If you see Buffalo get up 21 by halftime, then maybe you start seeing a little bit of a health rotation at the offensive line. Get guys some work. You might see the same thing across the defensive line. You might see Edmonds and Milano not play 100% of the snaps on defense. There's going to come a point in the game where I am hopeful Buffalo is in such control that you can kind of remove injury risk. Because, like, as an example, like you lost Hyde, and there's been times where you've lost guys at a point in the game where it just didn't seem to make sense to be playing them any longer. And I think that, kind of comes and goes without saying. And what's the best way for me to phrase this? Last week, I saw Josh be a little bit more careful with his body late in the game. And we all know Josh is aggressive, right? I thought he was more careful when it was clear the Bills were fully in control of that game. And just get the yardage and get down. Now, there was a time or two where he got a little bit more aggressive than maybe he should have, but he's a competitor. It's going to be what it is. I will say, though, that I did learn something. Josh was mic'd up for the last game, and he's got a thing about that. He doesn't like to be told when he's mic'd up. they actually hide the microphone in his equipment and don't tell him when he's mic'd up. I think that's hysterical, right? I think that is hysterical that the franchise quarterback doesn't want to know when he's mic'd up. He admitted it. He's like, listen, I don't want to know when I'm mic'd up. Just don't tell me. Just hide the mic in my equipment. Tell me later. Because that's a distraction for him, right? Josh is very, very good about maintaining image, right? He's always got his best foot forward. He's always doing the right thing. He's just straight up a good kid, but he's very aware of who he is and his impact. And I think at a young age, that's really hard to grasp. And Josh has done a great job of grasping that. But he's also a competitor. I'm sure the Bills media department has a lot of things that Josh has said, even during that game, that will be funny to hear, but that he would be embarrassed by, right? As far as that's concerned. Because Josh admits that he's not shy when he's on the field. He's a competitor. So he even mentioned, he goes, I'm a little nervous about some of the things they may have because I was not paying attention to what I was saying. And I guess that's football, right? The last game was a little chippy. I expect Buffalo to come out very focused, very, very focused this game. McDermott was not happy with the level of play that they had rolled out. He said it was sloppy, and he's right. It was. It was a very sloppy game. This will be a very disciplined game and one where they execute. To quote Sean McDermott, they're going to execute at a high level. This defense is going to give them all they can handle in pass defense. But again, this team gets run on an awful lot. An awful lot. And Buffalo has kind of shied away from putting the ball on the ground a ton. But this would be a great opportunity to, hey, listen, you got Nyheim Hines, you got James Cook, you've got Devin Singletary. So now you have 3 usable backs. Not to speak negatively of Zach Moss, but Moss had become ineffective in this offense, and his opportunities went away quickly. They recognized that quickly, and his opportunities went as such. So this will be an opportunity to, hey, listen, you've got 3 healthy, fresh backs. Use them, right? This is your time to get some burn on James Cook. Buffalo's huge on time on task, and Cook last 2 games has looked really good in the few opportunities that he's had. Well, Nyheim Hines is a proven veteran that Indy fans were horrified was traded. Nyheim Hines was one of the reasons why a lot of Indy fans, a lot of Colt fans were excited about this season because he is dynamic. Even though you have Jonathan Taylor, he is a dynamic playmaker. He can contribute on special teams, returning kicks for you, returning punts for you, and he can contribute, catching the ball out of the backfield. And he is a average running back when it comes to vision, but out in space is really dangerous. So this will hopefully be a game where you get to see Nyheim Hines a little bit. You get to see James Cook maybe a little bit more. And listen, I'm all about doing whatever it's going to take to win this football game within reason. And I say that loosely, right? So first off, Trey White has no injury designation at this point, right? He has officially been cleared. Hey, V-Man, hold on. Let me get you on here. There we go. V-Man says, let's see. Real test of my Jets defense. Question, what scares you more, our secondary or our pass rush? Let's see here. Thank you very much. And by the way, all super chats go to the Williams Syndrome Foundation, the hashtag charity for this season. Yeah, when it comes to the Jets defense, it's the secondary. It's not the pass rush. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's not many pass rush. There's not many teams that have a pass rush that really scare me when you have a player like Josh, because he generates so much time that he's able to kind of sidestep that. Now, is that a forever skill? Josh is pretty athletic and gets himself out of a lot of really bad situations. But no, I wouldn't say the pass rush is what concerns me. Young secondary, but aggressive secondary. Josh has struggled against really aggressive secondaries. And normally those secondaries that are a bit more patient, he has a tendency to anticipate a little bit better. Aggressive secondaries gets him off some reads early. So we'll see. But that's what I mean. You can't really let this game go with turnovers. That's a no bueno situation. No bueno. You gotta, of course, guys, you gotta forgive me. I can't put a ton of comments on the stream. Normally, we put up a bunch of comments. I'm just on my phone, and it is not as easy. And you're likely to get the old man finger. That's when you're doing something and see, I'm gone. You're going to get old man fingered eventually because I'm going to forget where the camera is, or I'm going to knock my cell phone off the holder I have it on. There's a recipe for disaster. So super chats, those will go on the stream. I'll push the button for that. But other than that, you guys are going to get what you get. Yeah, Scott Blakely says secondary for me too. Hey, best Bills channel or not, says Go Bills. And yeah, this Jets team, again, has the ability to generate turnovers and get the ball back for their offense. The problem is that offense really struggles to have an identity. And when you have a player like Breece Hall, a player like Michael Carter, they are fun players to own, but you can kind of lean on the run game a little bit when you have a player like Breece. Breece is gone now. So really the offensive identity has disappeared a bit too. Wilson really needs to learn where the soft spots in coverage are, and he still continues to struggle to do that. In college, you could be the best athlete at the quarterback position and survive for quite a long time. In the NFL, that's not really how it works. Quarterbacks win with their eyes. Wilson's not winning with his eyes at this point. So while you have, quick wide receivers that can generate separation in small spaces, he doesn't have the anticipation to get them the ball yet. And I think that's sort of what we saw from Josh early in his career. And it's every young quarterback's developmental problem, right? Where Josh struggled to anticipate throws. Well, Wilson's having the exact same problem. Buffalo's going to disturb that quite a bit. And this is, again, a game where hopefully Buffalo can generate enough points where you're not going to depend on playing Trey a bunch. You can get Trey in there. He doesn't have an injury designation. Perhaps he's not even active. It is possible without the injury designation, he's still not activated. I would like to see him active. The team out for a little bit, but who knows? One thing you guys don't know. Hold on, let me turn on the light. Maybe you'll be able to see it. Oh yeah, you can kind of see him. Little man passed out in the back there. So that's why I'm not in the Prius. Normally, I'm cruising in my Toyota Prius. I have our minivan. I also own a minivan because I'm a dad of three. Of course, I'm a minivan. But little man passed out in the car seat. So that's why I was like, hey, yeah, let's go live. Let's go. Let's do it. But he's starting to rustle a little bit. So if I end up jumping off the screen, it's only to save you from the perils of fatherhood. So let's go back through the comment section. Brian, thank you. Saying smash that like button. Much appreciated. So at halftime, what do I expect from this game? I mean, if Buffalo is anything less than 21 points, I'll be disappointed, right? I probably 5-6 drives. I expect touchdowns on half of them. That's my level of expectation. Again, this is a good secondary, but Buffalo, if they have patience, they'll be able to run the ball. That secondary is going to suck down, and that's when Josh has a tendency to kind of expose other defenses. If that's, again, another reason why you've seen the Bills run the ball a little bit more than maybe thought they would this season, because the whole game is to try and get that secondary down, right? As soon as you can get that secondary down, they really depend on Diggs and Davis gaining that separation down the field, finding those gaps in coverage, and then Josh anticipating those throws. They've done a great job of it all season. The question is, is that a recipe for success the entire season? I think you'll be able to run the ball in the Jets. Again, they are going to bring a ton of pressure because they are the Jets. They're going to bring a ton of pressure. That's what they do. When teams bring a ton of pressure, you can open up really big runs. And that's why I'm saying perhaps you see a little bit more James Cook, because if Devin gets past the line, he's just not an explosive downfield runner. So he may break one, but his break one may be 25 to 30 yards, right? If James Cook breaks one, you're talking a much larger gain. So that's why I'm hoping to see Cook a little bit more. Again, when you bring pressure, the running game might not look good for a little bit. Guys might get swallowed up right away. But you blitz, when teams blitz, you want to run the ball, right? Because they're bringing more guys. And while the gaps may get closed quicker, there's nobody behind it, right? And that's sort of one of the key marks of what Buffalo was looking for. They were looking for, when they drafted Cook, the ability to gain a little bit more speed in the running back room. That's why they signed Breida. Breida was an incredibly fast running back. That's what they expected. When they signed Yeldon, they wanted that, again, a back that had a little bit more speed. None of, Breida and Yeldon obviously weren't exactly what they were looking for. Naeem Hines gives that to you in spades, and James Cook will give that to you if given the opportunity. So that's why I'm saying I'm really hopeful that we get to see a lot more of James Cook in the. Oh, hey, what's going on, Sean? And look, hashtag sports is in the comment section. That means Mario's watching the stream. Mario or Joe, what's up? How you doing, Mario and Joe? And to Sean, thank you so much. Sean, you get to go on screen. Normally, I can't normally do these. There we go. Go Bills. Make sure you check out Sean's relocation guide in the description of this video. Of course, the Super Bowl is in Arizona this year. Sean's been trying to tempt us out there. He's like, you guys should do it. Come down, do a stream from the Super Bowl. Woo. Be hot. Be hot. Donnie Brooks says, did your mom let you drive the car, Paul? Guys, I do have a driver's license. Like, I do. It's valid and everything. It's real. It's real. I do not have a McLovin driver's license. Okay. And as I said, it's not the Prius, so I'm riding tall today. Riding tall. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. But again, keynotes to the game. Buffalo secondary should be able to control what Jets have going on. Trey does not have an injury designation. I'm hopeful to see him active, but just because he doesn't have an injury designation, that doesn't mean he will be active for the game. He could be a healthy scratch. Neither would shock me or surprise me. Trey gets to start, but I don't think Trey sees more than 35% of snaps. I just don't think you want to do that to him coming back. There's a game conditioning thing you got to take into account. There's chemistry that you have to take into account. So while Trey's been in the film room and Trey's been working hard to come back, I would not say that it is wise to play him 75% of snaps unless he tricks the coaching staff into convincing them that it's a good idea. So Trey's a smooth talker, and he probably isn't going to want to leave the field. But it's just one of those things. I'd love to see Trey, but who knows? As far as the Bills' offense, limit turnovers. The last game was really sloppy. Tighten it up. Use the running game. You've got three backs that now offer something totally different. Although Cook and Hines are similar, Hines is lightning fast, guys. If you really haven't spent any time watching Indy or watching him play, he is lightning fast. And hopefully this is a game where you get to see James Cook make a little bit more of an impact. I'm hopeful. Time on task is a big thing with this team, and they don't want to put pressure on rookies. But I think at the same token, you bring in Hines, you want to show James Cook that Hines isn't going to take opportunities away from Cook. I think Devin knows. Then you look in the rear view, Devin's in a contract year. You look in the rear view, you now added Hines, who's got 2 more years on this deal. You just drafted Cook. So I think Devin knows the runway to his Bills' future is short. But I don't think, because he's been so effective, that you're going to see Devin drop snaps. But I do think you should see an increased workload in with Cook. A couple less carries for Devin would be fine with me. You got to start getting Cook a bit more involved. I think they need to show Cook that Hines isn't there to take away playing time, because that's what McDermott and Bean said, that Hines is not there to take playing time away from James Cook, which is what we talked about here on the channel, Mario and myself. And I still believe that, but who knows, man? I guess we'll find out. So, Buffalo, go Bills, as always. I'm going to end the stream. It took like 8,000 years for my phone to register the stream even started. So I have no idea what you guys saw at the beginning of this. We will just go with that. All right. Hope you guys get out of here. Will we see Trey at safety? Get out of here. Just get out of here. Ridiculous, Mario. Ridiculous. Even when you're not in the car, you're annoying the hell out of me. Good God, man. Don't forget to join Joe. Joe is going to be streaming the game, as always, Mario and I. Post-game show afterwards. And Spin, listen, htagsports@gmail.com. Email me. I'm serious. Email me. I got something to talk to you about. Paul from hashtag. Enjoy. Thanks again to Sean Rodgers for sponsoring the show. And anything you guys missed, stream's going to be posted in a second. Go Bills.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, Realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth? And right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always,